All right, Fantasy Legends, round 16 is in the books, and it was a good week overall for my team. I think for most teams, really. Like if you had 12 or 13, majority of players scored pretty well. So it was a fun week to watch for fantasy scores anyway, and I hope it kept everyone engaged and hopefully did pretty well. Anything over 700, I think, gained you some ranks, unless you're maybe right at the top or something like that. But 790 for myself. Round 16 rank was 1462. I'm overall 1105 right now. So an improvement of over 700 ranks this week. I was hoping to stick in the top 1,000, but I had weeks over Galvin. I think that obviously would have, if it was flipped the other way, I would have ended up in that top 1,000. But never to worry. Very, very happy to be an owner of Galvin still. Getting some price rises, and I'll get his score this week anyway. So yeah, the 13 for me had the one extra with Galvin who wasn't played, but yeah, like the lowest score of the week was Maxi King with 41. Had to play him in that one. I looped in Wishart and Campbell. Both did great, so I was like, all right, I have to pick between Galvin and Weeks. I wished that they didn't play against each other so I could loop one more time, but that wasn't to be. And yeah, still a great score at 790. Headlined by, Samuela Fainu there with a 58 was great. Fafita's 64 doubled up. Hughesy's 74. Carraz's 63 was great. And then we had Trey Fuller's 52 and Campbell's 89 were massive scores. Very, very happy with Wishart with his 49 as well. Coming into this week, we do sit with a little conundrum, potentially. We have to see what happens with Campbell and his hand or his wrist or whatever is going on there. And if he is in a little bit of strife with that, then we'll have to work out what to do. And I think he'll obviously be a trade out if he's out for anything longer than sort of 3 or 4 weeks for sure. And thankfully for myself, I end up holding trades this week and leaves me with 6 going into this week coming up round 17. He's out anyway, so we'll deal with that soon. We've got Garrick out, we've got Fafita out. And we also are likely, in my opinion, to have Trey Fuller out. Chance he plays, obviously. There's a chance that Cotter plays. There's a chance that Harry Grant plays, right? So there's a few things on that front. Hopefully they all do. But if Grant and Cotter back up, right, and Fuller doesn't, I'll have 17. If Fuller plays, I potentially have 18. If one of those guys don't back up, I'll have the 17. So at worst there, shouldn't have to trade just to get numbers on the park. But do we trade to improve the squad? That's the big question mark. We have a bunch of our players right now that are in a good enough cash position. The big question coming up is who is right for the picking in the list here on the right-hand side. Obviously, Hines has a really high break even. He comes up against the Dogs, who will be looking to push for, hopefully, a decent win there on a comeback win after losing to the Roosters. Hines, he has a big break even, so hopefully, following this week, I'd be able to get him pretty cheap. When I say pretty cheap, under 900k, which is cheap enough for Nico and Cleary, that's for sure next week. So I do have a bunch of guys that could potentially use, right? So if Campbell was to be injured at 632k, Fuller, if he was to be out, might need to use him as a trade. Obviously, he doesn't play this week or next. If that was the case, 628. Galvin will be held. Cotter, if he doesn't back up this week, could be sold at 704k. Brayley at 543. Not super excited, obviously, with his role right now. Maxi King, a little bit of a worry on him at 645. Blory at 551. It's probably more on the hold side after that 48. Hopefully he can have a base stat and a attacking stat type of game. Piker at 410 is probably worth holding at this stage just due to the cheapness. And, he obviously can score solidly in some weeks. Weeks in the next bunch of weeks is probably on a potential chopping block just with Fogs coming back and obviously at a good price. Aiken, Hughes, Iro all staying, Carraz staying, Drinkwater staying as well at 671, and then Wishart over the next few weeks or around 2021 will be a potential trade out as well. So there's a heap of guys here that are in that 5 to 700k bracket that I could use as trades and trade bait over the next bunch of weeks, the next month anyway. So that's what I've got to look at, and that's what I've got to think about when I'm making trades for my side. Obviously, someone I don't own yet is that of Fletcher Sharp, and he's at 328k. It's fairly expensive, but we do have a situation where he might be a guy that comes into my side. Thankfully, I'm covered in all positions in a starting 13 this week. It's just getting those extras on the park. So round 17 is not as much of a problem there. Round 18 I need to look at. I've got Jeremy Marshall, King, Plath, Aitken, and obviously Trey Fuller on the buy there. So Aitken would be covered by Carraz, or hopefully Garrick would be nice. So Garrick could come straight back in. Karaz could stay down there with Drinky and Wishart. So overall, I'm in a position where that would be fine. Fainu, King, Cotter could play mid for me, which is sweet. Fafita will be back that week. Hooker, I'd have Grant, which is cool. So I've got Grant. I'm covered in all positions in that way. So it's really just a matter of who is going to be the best option for my side over the next few weeks. And obviously thinking about final teams as well, and what we want to see come round 19, 20, 21, who we want to be trading, how many trades we've got to potentially make upgrades like that, and are there any cash outs available that could be helpful for us in our sides that can play a couple of these important weeks. Or maybe they're just a cheaper guy like the Nathan Browns, like the Sipleys that will play most weeks and could get you a 30 odd if needed, sometimes get you a 40 odd, sometimes get you a 20 odd. That type of range there is obviously pretty helpful. And that's someone like, Willison's at 417. There's those two I just mentioned for Manly, who have a bye this coming week, but then will be really important come 18 or 19. That's something to look at obviously there with those guys that, Gerbo's likely to be missing, Ola Kawatu missing there as well, and those types of guys there. So definitely plenty to think about in that cheaper range as to one of those guys I can downgrade to potentially get to Nico Hines next week, because I do believe I'll be needing a round 19 half to kind of fill out my squad here. So obviously plenty of guys that are very expensive on the pine this week, but we've got a lot of guys coming back as well. They're on bye last week that are going to be holding us in good stead and hopefully continuing to make some ranks and get some good scores for our side. And obviously having a little bit more, a few more trades there than some other teams in that top 1,000 right now. I'm very close to that. And this is my currently best ranking, I believe, for the entirety of the season now, which is cool. So around 13, I got into 1,600, then down to 1334, obviously out last week, and then back into 1,100, my best rank of the season. And hopefully, like same as in Supercoach as well. So good week for us. Hopefully we can continue to build on this with a couple extra trades on average than the majority of sides out there, which is exactly what we want. Just a quick little shout out to the top of the rankings there. We have Christian, who had an 825 week, so it was really, really good up there. Kushla keeps up top there at 766. Matty B, Fred B, Mark W, Kai V, Ben R, Patrick down to 8th, unfortunately, Alex C, and then Jordan S in the top 10. Good stuff from those guys there. And in comparison to myself, now that I'm very close to that top 1,000, I'm sitting a little over 700 points, so 715 points away from first, 12,917. In terms of 50th, I am 12,917, almost 400 points away from 50th. And then, 330 points away from 100. So nothing crazy there for sure, but I do think top 500 is a very good goal to have for my own team. And I'll keep fighting to that over the next bunch of weeks. And good to have a good score in amongst a week where I didn't have to use a trade. That's for sure. And I finally beat my girlfriend in fantasy, not in real life. I'm a good boy. 4th there, I am sitting in the fam. How rough's that from a head-to-head perspective? Very, very close. Each is actually in the lead, so good stuff for her. Finally she's won 4 of her last 5. And still had a good score this week and made some good rankings there. You see overall points, I'm at 1105, she's at 3200, my brother at 6900, and then scoops into that top 10k, so good on him. But last in the head-to-head for JB. Tough times, that's for sure. But we got her by 13 finally. She's beat me 3 times in a row. And I finally got her on the 4th opportunity there because it's only a 4-person league. In the private group, I want to shout them out. But firstly, in the community league, Kobe in a really good spot at first there, 18th overall. You got Riley, Hayden, Jacob, Christian in that first slot. And then we've got Bevan in at 6, who's in the private group there, which is cool. So that's a shout out to those guys. Bevan first up with Liam there. Don, Mitch, Shane in that top 5. And then Max in 6. So 158th for Shane. They're sitting in 5th overall, so that's pretty good efforts. 134th for Mitch. Don's in at 126. Liam's at 52. And Bevan's at 50. So we've got a chance here in the private group to potentially win the overall fantasy league. So I'm super excited about that myself. I'm personally sitting at 21. And a shout out to everyone who is sitting above me. You're all having a cracking season. And those that are just behind, I'm seeing you. And I know you're coming for me, that's for sure. Alrighty, some more Ugg boots on sale there for sure. All right, in my JBFA head-to-head, I'm currently second, which is good. The seed of League One, thankfully got a win, but still 14th in that one. Got another win in the Blake Taft Shield. Battle of Podcast, I still stick in 5th, unfortunately. I'm clear off 6, but everyone had a good week, basically. So Stuart at an 821, a big week for him, just outside the top 1,000, and only 2 points difference separate us. Lucy in at 791, a 630 overall rank. 732 for Dan, unfortunately, it doesn't go too much up. And where he's at, obviously had Adam Fennell Blake. And then Austin at 807. Shout out to him bringing in Nathan Brown. What a masterstroke that one ended up being. Cody Walker and Galvin doing good things with Karaz. Kohler at 36. Teddy and Campbell. There you go. So good stuff on that front. In with a chance at winning the whole thing there in 74th. That is for sure. So I think that's probably all I wanted to say on this side of things. I'm 66 in the Cowboys official. We'll take that. It's not too far away. And yeah, that's that. All right, let's move to the head-to-head team now. Let's get through our results. We've got a big week, obviously, with Origin coming up. We've got team list tomorrow. Hopefully, plenty going on there. A big chat around which teams to target in the morning video there on the impact of the next 3 rounds. So I don't want to go too deep into this because there's so much to come in terms of, my plans. There's team lists. There's potentials for not backing up. There's Origin, all that type of thing. So we'll get into that shortly. But in the meantime, head-to-head team result now. So playing with 12, it wasn't terrible. 717 there for sure. We made some rankings into 8,600 overall, but that's obviously not the most important part. It is winning these head-to-heads. And in a week where I did have a bunch of buys, it wasn't a must-have to obviously make trades this week. I was thankfully able to win a lot of my leagues that were still playing around 16, which is good. But quickly, just shouting out some of the winners this week for my side. Teddy and Campbell in there with Galvin and Weeks was good. Harris with 53 with that lovely try assist. Manu a bit low. Wishart was good. Bloor was good. Fafita captain good. Plath a little bit low along with Reed Marnie. So just my dogs without having Karaz in this team struggle a little bit. You look here on the bench, there's so many of these guys to come back in and hit some good scores this week coming with Cotter, Brown, Hands, maybe Jack Cole, Nikora, Drinkwater and Talangi to return this week. So hopefully we can get some good winnings in my leagues for the next bunch of weeks. But I was able to win the Gargarov league there, which was well needed in 13th spot. Won the next one. Serrato sucks. Had a buying Kings Cup. League of Legends. Got the loss there, unfortunately, but still second. So not a problem there. Won in Liam's league into 4th. Next league there into 9th, sadly with a loss. So that was an important one. Sitting at 8th, out to 9th now. So need to get a win in there. Got the win in the Amateurs League 2 into 5th. And then the Sweat Lobby got a win as well in 2nd. So really it's just getting some wins over the next few weeks to ensure that I'm in top 4s over the next bunch of weeks there. And thankfully saving trades and leaving myself with 6 allows me to make some moves and try and get some wins here, but obviously save a few trades coming into the final series as well, which is super important for our sides obviously there. So we'll move all those guys back in. We're pretty well covered in every position, which is great. We'll see Drinkwater move back into the fullback slot. We're covered in center, covered in half. Edge, we need to move Fafita out for Nikora. Plath, King, Harris, Reed, Marnie up top. And then we've got Brown, who can switch out with Campbell. We have Garrick, who can switch out with Cotter, hopefully. We'll put Hands in there for now. And then Fafita can switch with Cotter. And then hopefully we have Jack Cole returning. But if not, we do have the trades to make. And if Campbell's out, we can do some things with him. Cole, obviously, we can go to like a Fletcher Sharp. Use him for the next bunch of weeks to help get some wins and do an upgrade with that second trade, most likely, whoever that's going to be, whether that's Campbell goes out or Cotter, something like that. We'll have a little bit of a look at that over the next week or so. And captaincy is going to be a big, over the next week or so, over the next few day or so. Teddy's going to be an interesting captaincy option this week. We'll definitely discuss that. It's going to be a very hard one, whether you're going Tedesco, the Aikens, the Jerome Hughes, these types of players. But if you're looking at this side, as it stands right now, then maybe Galvin's a man, right? And he's doing really well, but Teddy probably stands out there against the Tigers. Yeah, that's probably it. So unless we're making some trades this week, which will work out what we're doing with that. But yeah, Hines is obviously going to be the best kind of option this week. You've got guys like Payne Haas, Crichton, Yo, all backing up, that type of thing. So we'll see how all that plays out. But be hard pressed captaining a Origin guy unless it's probably Isaiah Yo. We know how good he can play in general there. So that's the head-to-head side this week. The results where we're potentially at with the 17 on the park, and then what we might be looking to do. So thanks for being here, guys. Let me know your results in the comments or what you're potentially looking to do. Thank you so much for being here in this video. We got 4 days and 60 hours until the first game of round 17, so plenty of time to mull over your teams. Enjoy Origin, up the New South Wales Blues, and we'll see you in that next video tomorrow.